Hey. Good. They gave him a desk, they gave him a check. They put a chain of office around a strangled neck. We see a black face, we think we gained some power, but they just hiring a guard to watch us from the top. Nationalism ain't a color, it's a state of mind. It's when the leader leaves the people in the back of the line. They vote for the morals, they vote for the jails. They sell their own soul just to tip the scales, begging the master for a crumb or the pie, while the original man is left outside to die. We don't want their acceptance.
Can you hear it, Doc?
Yes, sir. It's not very loud, but I can hear it.
We cutting out the cancer with a surgeon's procedure. No more tuppets, no more strings, no more peasants acting like kings. It's time to build, it's time to fight, it's time to bring the hidden darkness into the light. The diagnosis is treason, the cure is identity, the method is war. Welcome to manhood, race, and culture, where we put black first.
Okay, Doc, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to switch over the sound because it's coming through on my end very, very low.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. All right, say something now, Doc.
All right, I'm here.
Okay, better. All right, better. All right. Let me give him some more light in here. All right, now, yes. Now we can get to business. Okay. All right, we got Tranquil in the house already. Peace and blessings, Tranquil. We're glad that you're here with us. And let's...
Welcome.
Oops. All right. All right, so again, the program today is part 2, the cost of treason, political betrayal of the Black nation. And when we're talking about political betrayal of the Black nation, we're talking about, of course, us as a people. That is something that, as the political concept or the political world, that Black people in America have not, to this day, I would say, got a firm grasp on what is going on and how do we properly handle our business when it comes to politics. We do pretty well in other areas, but in politics, we don't do well at all.
What other areas you think we do good? We do well at?
Well, I think we do well when we actually go out there and try to do education. We could look at the many startup schools, charter schools that are being very successful. Some even religious schools are very
So
successful.
you talking about FDMG?
No,
No,
never.
I just want clarity.
That would never be successful. That would never be successful.
FDMG, huh?
In our organization buildings, we've been successful. I would think carrying the water for other groups of people, we've been successful. For being loyal Americans, I think we've been successful.
Mm-hmm.
Doing business, we've been successful. But we have not been very successful in the realm of politics. And this is something that definitely has to change. This is something that we have to know more about and how it really affects our lives and what are the things that have been done to us that political in the ways of political means have been a way to not take us forward, but really set us back. Doc, so when you think of political treason, how would you define that?
Political treason for me would be one who has the ability to do something. Mm-hmm. And I'm very cautious about referring to Black political leaders or Black politicians in particular as committing treason, mm-hmm. because I'm not convinced that they have the ability to do anything. Mm-hmm. If you understand what I mean, especially on a grand scale. So political treason for me would be one who has the wherewithal and the ability to go ahead and do something, and they consciously choose to not do that thing, usually for self-advantageous reasons. Mm-hmm. I'm unsure if the majority of Black political leaders, those who are elected in a ballot box, and really those who are not elected through a ballot box, are committing treason. I think that what we're actually seeing is ineptitude, powerlessness, and an inability to get things done for the people by any means necessary. That's what I think that we're seeing. I'm not sure if we're seeing treason, because treason would be tantamount to and I was warned about something that I said on the last show. Someone contacted me and told me that I was going to have a whole bunch of angry Africans tracking me down because I called them simple-minded or slow or something like that. But I would say the string of African leaders that we've seen who had the power of the people, had resources, they had a country, and they chose to strike deals that in every way are not advantageous for the collective. They went ahead and took a payout, a singular payout, and got moved to Switzerland or somewhere where they knew that those people that they had just screwed would never be able to come and do anything with them. They're living in, and I love this word, a chalet somewhere. So I'm kind of hesitant to say that they are committing treason. I just think that they're inefficient, inept, and even if they were master negotiators or politicians, that to get the Black agenda, anything through for Black folk in this nation with such a small percentage is going to be a Herculean task, because one has to wonder, what is the leverage that Black politicians can use? It reminds me of that moment when After William Monroe Trotter had went in and offended the president, you have Asa Philip Randolph, who threatens FDR with a march on Washington in 1941 if he does not ban discrimination in the wartime industries. FDR is going to eventually sign an Executive Order 8802, because he doesn't want Black men, Black people in general, marching on Washington, because it would be the ultimate embarrassment for him as a leader of the world, casting negative thoughts and trying to castigate Adolf Hitler and the National Socialist Party, the Nazi Party. My question would be, what leverage do Black folk have to make white folk, who are by far the numerical majority in the Senate and the House, to go along with what they see as being beneficial to their people?
I think one of the things when I first started thinking about this and understanding the word treason, we have to understand, who are they being treason? Who are they trading on? Who are they becoming a traitor to? And we want to welcome Twin Pyramid in the house. Peace and blessings, big brother Twin. We're glad to see you. Earth Angel remix in the house, and she's on time.
See, there you go. See, I didn't say that. And I haven't had we ain't had no back channel conversations about anything like that. He threw that in there. And he does that from time to time. And I'm gonna say this, that when I shut down my camera, you tried to throw that lie on me about your president, that you was instead of Kamala Harris. I remember that. As well. Okay. But when I turn this camera off, look at what it says. DJ. And I looked at that. I said, he didn't put Donald J. Trump on my thing. And it took me a second to be like, no, that's Dr. James. It took me a second. My mind went, I said, look at what this Negro done. He done tried to slide one in on me. Yeah. So Earth Angel, you ain't alone in taking shots. Just don't let it affect your mind like it affected mine recently. Welcome.
Oh my God, Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to change the name thing. I can't stand with that right there, because you know good and well that your people will click on here and be like, look what the brother got it as his name. Okay, he a Trumper. Yeah. And won't listen to nothing that you got to say from me.
No. And we also want to welcome Emerald Jules to the program. Peace and blessings, Queen. We're glad you're here. DJ T.
Yeah, and see now look at Twin Pyramid. He didn't jumped on the wagon now. Okay. I don't know if I'm more offended by the DJT, or when they tried to tell me that I would be the first member of the LGBTQE, when I told them I wanted to be an Ewok. Okay, when I was a child. I'm not sure which one is more offensive.
Now, that's funny. That is funny. Lord have mercy. All right. So when we're talking about them committing treason, the highest allegiance of a Black elected official should be to the collective, the survival and elevation of the Black nation.
Okay.
Not to a political party, not the Democrats or the Republican or Independent, none of these parties. It should be to our people. We have to understand that a majority white establishment, these people that have the disease, and I'll call that the disease of wanting to be close to whiteness, to wanting to be in that power group, not for your people, but so that you can get next to quote unquote massa and have a good time, so that you can enrich your own personal pockets against the advancement of our people, and you're ready and willing to compromise on our ability as a whole. Just like the what they called the compromise for Reconstruction.
Compromise of 1876.
Right. They said that was a complete sellout against Black people. It turned and put white power right back in effect and took everything from Black people. Would you agree with that, Doc?
Oh, most certainly. I mean, when you're talking about the Compromise of 1876, you have to remember what is going on. That's a moment of a nation on the verge of being overrun by new immigrants that are in this nation, and they bring that very radical idea of worker rights and labor rights with them, which is a kind of a new concept here. So come 1876, and the thing that's undergirding that moment is the election between Rutherford B. Hayes and Samuel J. Tilden. And so, for the audience, this would be interesting if you could put in the chat, who do you think won the election between Rutherford B. Hayes and Samuel J. Tilden? I'm just interested to see who do they believe won between Tilden and Hayes. We still wait.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look it up.
Name in there.
Who you think, Tilden or Hayes? We don't even have a guess. You got a 50-50 chance. Most people are going to believe that Rutherford B. Hayes won because they've never heard of Samuel J. Tilden. But the truth of the matter is that Tilden won. If we're talking about the popular vote, because Tilden was the candidate of the Democratic Party, he won the popular vote. But of course, the popular vote does not get you the Oval Office. He was also ahead in the electoral vote. He just hadn't crossed that threshold because you had several southern states that were arguing as to if the Republican or the Democratic candidate won. And so the Republicans are going to strike a deal, talking about a political deal. They strike a deal where they're going to abandon the South and allow the South to have what they really want, which is home rule. And that's going to be the worst thing for us. And Rayford Logan, great historian out of Howard University, Logan says that 1877 is the nadir of the Black experience, the worst of the worst, the lowest point. He says 1877 going forward is worse than even slavery. And so you could look at that as a treasonous act if you're talking about the Republican Party abandoning its most loyal part of the party, which was Black folk at the time, because we definitely didn't have an option to vote for Democrats. So yeah, the Compromise of 1876, that starts the ball rolling, and that ball is rolling. And I mean, rolling and rolling and rolling, and doesn't stop rolling, some would argue, until what? 1964 with the Voting Rights Act. 1965 with 1965 Voting Rights Act, 1964 with the Civil Rights Act, with JFK being killed and then LBJ taking over. So you're talking about almost a full century of Black suffering happening between that time.
Now, Blacks were not voting in the South, but they were voting in the North.
We were voting in the South after the Civil War ends. Yeah,
but I'm talking about after the betrayal, after the treasonous act.
No.
We were voting in the North, but not in the South.
You better not take your black self over there to that voting booth. And we have these great memoirs, the WPA slave narratives, where we have these former slaves. They were children and teenagers during this time, who give these riveting testimonies where they're saying that the owners of the land actually came to their home and told their fathers, "I would hate for you to be away from home and something bad happened to your family tomorrow, because you know how these boys down here are."
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, there's so many different ways. And of course, sheer raw force is going to be their favorite means of circumventing and snatching the ballot out of the hands of black folk.
Now, when they were voting up north, were they voting for the Democrats or were they voting for the Republicans?
Oh,
Because
Republican.
at that time, the thing was still blacks were mostly Republicans, right?
Yeah, yeah. They're voting for the Republican Party. There's no doubt about that. But you have to remember that during that time, the nation is split right. It's a clean cut. The South is the land of the Democratic Party. The North is the land of the Republican Party. And that's one of the more difficult things to really reconcile. It's hard to get my students to understand that. That's one of the concepts they don't understand historically. And I try to make it simple for them and say, what you think right now, flip it. Because the flip largely does not occur until 1932 with the arrival of FDR. But
Mm-hmm.
black folk en masse switched to the Democratic Party in that first off-year election of 1934. And the rest of them come in 1960 when JFK razzle-dazzled them by getting the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. released from a what do they call a workhouse. They was going to have King working in a workhouse. Black folk weren't going to stand for that. And so he intercedes. And on that Sunday, you have black pastors throughout the nation tell their congregation, there's only one man for us to vote for, and that's JFK. And JFK actually wins by like 0.001% of the vote. So black folk put JFK in there, and I have some very strong feelings about how JFK is remembered and things like that, because black folk have really, they fell in love with JFK, and JFK got a lot of mileage out of the fact that he died so young, that he was killed so young. But when you look at his legislative accomplishments, JFK didn't do anything for black folk.
Was that he didn't do anything for black folks because he was already dead? Was that the
No,
reason?
no, he's in office for 4 years. No, it ain't like he got killed, like he walked in there like Lincoln. Lincoln during his second term, Lincoln is going to get killed in the 4th month of his second term. That's not what happened with JFK. JFK is in there, but JFK is in many ways, and a lot of people hate when I say this, JFK is like Barack Obama. He wants everybody to be represented and everyone to feel as if they are included. So when you have the Freedom Riders going through the South and the Klan basically being, a state sanctioned whooping that they was putting on those young people, JFK could have ended that immediately, but he doesn't want to step in full force, heavy handed into Southern affairs. He just doesn't, and he's never going to do it. And you have to remember that the March on Washington in '63, the March on Washington almost explodes the night before. And think about the most radical Negroes that you know, okay? And peace, and I hope the brother is resting well in heaven, getting a revolutionary rest, H. Rap Brown. But John Lewis would never cross your mind as being a radical rebel type of Black Power cat. But John Lewis is the head of SNCC in '63, and Lewis is planning on delivering a denouncing speech of Kennedy's administration. And when wind of that comes, you have three groups. You have the white folk, you have the Catholics, and you have the Jews who are going to leave that night. And it's A. Philip Randolph who goes and tells SNCC, listen, I understand your problems with him. I have the same problems. However, this is not the time to air the dirty laundry of the movement. And that's the only reason that the whites, the Catholics, and the Jews didn't leave the night before, because there was an agreement that SNCC would not get up there and do that. And within 2 years, we have Willie Mukasa Ricks yelling Black Power in Greenwood, Mississippi. So SNCC was already on its way towards revolutionary thought already.
Interesting. We want to welcome Norma X to the program. Peace and blessings, bro. We're glad you're here. David F1507, welcome to the program. We're glad you're here. Brother Willie Rivers, peace and blessings, Brother Willie. Welcome to the program. We're glad you're here. And Mac 285.
Oh, shit. You know how I feel about Mac. You know what I'm saying? You know, man. You know.
Welcome to the program, Brother Mac. We're glad you're here.
God got your ass, didn't he, Mac? He closed down the turkey leg hut. Okay, you over there buying all them turkey legs and stuff. Didn't want to look. I knew I didn't have no power. Probably it was about 2 months before I got power back.
Now, I want to deal with two comments right quick. David made a comment and Norma X made a comment.
Okay.
David says that the Democrats also fought to keep blacks enslaved. Ever heard of that little thing called the Civil War? It was Republicans fighting to free blacks. Democrats fought to keep blacks enslaved.
Yeah, that's a historical record. Yeah, that's not news to us over here.
Exactly.
Not at all. I mean, it is a verifiable fact. But now let's go one step further and not sort of pedestalize, because I know he used the word pedestalizing when he talked about Obama. Let's not pedestalize the Republican Party, because they're not doing what they're doing for the sake of humanity, righteousness. This is land of free home. No, they want those votes. And they understand that if they're able to put the vote in the hands of recently emancipated black folk and poor white folk, don't forget the poor white yeoman farmers as well. If they're able to put the vote in their hands, who are they going to vote for? They're going to vote for the Republican Party. I don't care how black they are. I don't care how poor they are, how ignorant or illiterate they are. It is a convincing argument that I gave you the vote. And that's why they're doing that. They don't have a significant commitment to black folks, so to speak. And you can clearly see that by them selling black folk out in 1876 so Rutherford B. Hayes can become president. And they're going to leave black folk to be basically tortured by angry, and I mean angry, vengeful-minded white Southerners. And a part of that vengeance is also going to come from what should have been a natural ally to poor black sharecroppers. And that's white yeoman farmers and sharecroppers as well. Population that to this day is cutting off their nose to spite their face. And you see what is getting them right now. And the same thing happened with the populist movement, with the White Farmers Alliance and the Colored Farmers Alliance. Those white farmers eventually turned their back on those black farmers and out-democrated the Democratic Party. They were more racist and harsh on black folk than the existing Democratic Party because they were afraid that they would be labeled as the party of black folk.
Excellent. And then Norma X says, in recent injections of 2021 changes our DNA. Why don't we think that the introduction of the polio, you know what, didn't do the same to us back then? Sorry to keep harping about this, but it's very important. I haven't looked into that. I haven't heard. This is the first thing that you're bringing it to, my attention to see. But I'll look into it and see what I can find. Doctor, you see any similarities or anything with that?
I don't understand similarities between what.
The vaccine that just came out that everybody was, told that you got to take or you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose that, versus when polio came out and everybody was given that. But to my knowledge, I don't know. You wasn't told you better take this shot or you're going to lose your job.
Well, what I would need to know before I could comment with any intelligence would be quite simply what exactly was the fallout from the first to now. I would need to, I shy away from just sort of a knee jerk reaction of things that I don't know about. So I would need more information about that. If he could put some studies down in the chat, we will definitely read them, and on the next show we'll get back on the on that. And one of the things that I wanted to ask, because I think the brother has some very good ideas, is where can I listen to his podcast at? Because it says Armor X podcast. So if you could put your podcast, your link or whatever, I'll I definitely would love to look at it.
Exactly. So Norma, drop your podcast information in so
Yeah,
that you can check it out.
And other people support him like you support us, because that brother's here all the time supporting us, and I certainly want to support him. Now let me give you this disclaimer, brother Norma X. Okay, if it's whack, okay, I'm gonna let you know it's whack. I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna harass you like you harass us over here. I do boo when I go to sporting events. I've had quite a few students invite me to their game, and they were horrible. And I found myself, one student, I changed sides so it wouldn't be so readily identifiable that I was actually, booing him. And he told me, "Yeah, I heard you over the booing there." Well, brother, they should have took you out. They should never put you in. You a liability, offense and defense.
So David says polio was basically cured, but they had so many extra. They re-injected polio, proven science all about the Benjamins.
Yeah, I was under the idea that polio was sort of behind us, but I will say this, that God blessed me with 3 grandmothers, and one of my grandmothers, the original James Thomas Jones, his second wife, she came down. She was sick. She got sick. She was an older lady in her 70s. They said that she had scarlet fever.
What?
And the doctors were like, they couldn't believe it. Yeah, that she had scarlet fever. And I'm like, I've read historically about scarlet fever, but I thought scarlet fever was up out of here. But apparently not. Yeah, scarlet fever. I'm dealing with my own health issues now, man. I'm the youngest one of my family, and they talking about guess what they sent me for my birthday.
What's that?
You know how they had what is it? Centrum Silver. Man, bruh, they sent me it like in a package. The silver, the gold, the such and such, and the notes on combine these together. You need platinum. And I was like, you know what I'm saying? Black people.
Wow. That is definitely something. That is something. Um, so we're going to look at Black mayors and their role from the 1960s through the 1980s. Deal with urban renewal implementation. Did they support it or fail to aggressively fight federally funded urban renewal and model city projects that displaced the working class Black families and destroy vital Black business districts to go on and let white rule go over and take it out? So when we look at Black mayors, Doc, there's always the first, the second. Now you have so many Black mayors. Is it fair for the first one to be judged so critically since this is their first time in office? You know, they don't probably know all the ins and outs once they got to office. You know, put something like Trump on his first election win. He didn't think he was going to win, so he didn't have shit ready. So when he won, he was shocked.
You say he woke up and look, I won?
Exactly. He didn't even think he was going to win, and he won. Do you think that could be the same situation with the first set of Black mayors that, you know, they get in and they don't know what the fuck to do?
No, I think that that's the first term of every mayor, unless he has served closely in the shadows of the existing mayor, maybe as a part of his staff or something like that, or, you know, or God forbid, they were married to the mayor. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's just standard. I don't think that that's what makes or breaks a Black mayoral tenure. I don't think that that's the difference, that he's in there the first term and he can stand up and he can say, whoa. If you put me back in there again, I'll know what I'm doing this time. Mm-hmm. I don't think that that's the way it goes. And when you look at you use the 1960s as the start of the first wave of Black mayors. And we've talked about this previously, that first wave of Black mayors, we got Gary, Indiana, which mm-hmm. is one of the roughest cities that one could ever hope to deal with. You're going to have Cleveland, Ohio, and then you're going to have Atlanta, Georgia. And these are three different cities, different sizes, to be honest with you. So when we look at what happened with these cities, with these Black men heading it, and let's be very clear that so much of what we talk about when we talk about Black mayors, one is tinged by a misunderstanding of who the mayor is as far as what his duties are and what he's mm-hmm. able to do. Black folk have the pervasive misconception that the mayor is the biggest, baddest bully in the city. Nothing could be further from the truth. The mayor is the supreme administrator who's going to be shuffling things. But if you're looking at a situation, this is what Black mayors had to deal with, especially in Gary and really in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. What if there's less to shuffle? And the fact that there's less to shuffle is flowing directly from race and things like that. You know, Maynard Jackson, he's the head of Atlanta, and who would think that Atlanta would have problems with a money flow? It does, because the white folk who run the businesses in Atlanta, they're angered by Maynard Jackson, a Black man, becoming the mayor. And we talked last time about the actual slogan of Maynard Jackson's opponent. It wasn't anything positive about him. Mm-hmm. You know, like FDR saying, well, you know what, I'm going to offer every American a new deal. Mm-hmm. No, his slogan was Atlanta is too young to die. It was a definite jab at Maynard Jackson that if you elect this Black man, he's going to kill Atlanta. And there's in many ways some truth to what happens with that, because the white folk who are running the businesses and have the taxable income are going to leave Atlanta proper. Black folk who ain't got nothing going on really in their lives said, we got to go to Atlanta. That's the new spot. It's the black Mecca. It's no longer Harlem. It's going to be Atlanta. Okay. If you can't make it in Atlanta, you can't make it anywhere. They get there and they fail. And they wind up being system intensive on public, taxing public services, welfare, food stamps, all those types of things. Atlanta is a great city to live in if you got something. But if you ain't got nothing, it's gonna be a struggle for you, and in many ways a worse struggle than if you were in on the outskirts of some little dusty town, because you're able to see the success and the opulence and the money that some black folk have access to, and they ain't sharing that with you. So you're dealing with for Maynard Jackson, focusing upon Jackson, you're dealing with his monetary resources as far as his tax base spiraling downward. But the expenditures to take care of the people who are now migrating to Atlanta.
Okay. So when we're looking at Carl Stokes, who you talked about from Cleveland, and Richard Hatchard from Gary, Indiana.
GI, be a soldier, you up in Gary.
And so I don't know whether this is a good term to use when you look at them, but I'm going to use it and you correct me if I'm wrong. Their symbolic power and their ability to redirect the functions of government. Symbolic power, their elections prove that Black people could mobilize and win power in major cities, inspiring generations of political Black politicians. They were able to immediately open City Hall to Black professionals, women, giving Black middle class unprecedented access to government jobs and contracts. They became national advocates for urban issues, forcing federal attention on the economic and social crisis of the cities. What's your thoughts on that, Doc?
I mean, I would agree with all of that, but I would go one step further and ask why. And you're talking about the 1960s. You're talking about that decade, and really we're not even talking about an entire decade. We could talk about from 1964, 65 forward. America, and when I say America, I'm talking about white America, is tired. They're tired. You had, I mean, think about the identity politic movements that happened in the 1960s. You had the feminist movement. Black women had their own ancillary movement, the womanist movement. You had Black Power. You had the Chicano movement. You had the LGBTQ movement. They didn't have no plus at the end at that time. You had women in the street burning bras. The scariest person, the most scared, the most frightened person in America by 1965, 1966 is the soccer mom. That middle American, centrist thinking person. They're a good person, but they think the world then went to shit because all of this other stuff is actually going on. That's the climate that leads to white folk leaving central cities. And you have to get to a point also when you're talking about white folk, and thank you, David, when you're talking about white folk leaving the central cities by the mid 1960s, you've had enough time from Brown, meaning the Brown v. Board of Education decision that knocked down segregation in schools, to have your first Black graduates coming out of PWIs. Now, these Black graduates who are coming out of PWIs, their goal, and if you ask Black students right now, and I can ask you this, would you be disappointed because your daughter just graduated from like UCLA?
USC.
USC, okay. She graduated from USC. Would you be upset if you had raised her in the hood. You send her off to college to get this degree, and she moves back into the same hood across the street from you.
Yeah, I think I would be upset.
Why?
Because my expectation is for you to go further than I did. That would be my expectation.
There you go. I want you to go further than I did. I want you to do better than I did. By 1965, that means what? A college degree, usually from a PWI, and employment with IBM or with some other big wig white company and corporation. What goes along with that is suburban living and lifestyle, because you've learned that the single greatest investment that you're going to make is in the home that you buy. So don't buy a home in the hood, because it's never going to increase in value. Buy a home that's in a white area. Okay. So now you have that business class, that white business class, and the middle centrist white folk have left the hood. Okay. Black folk who could have come in there and stabilized it, an educated black class, they're not going back. So what you got left? Poor and working class black folk. In many ways, you could argue that cities like Gary, Indiana, which is a urban steel city, okay, just like Mansfield, Ohio, where I hail from, okay. You have Cleveland, Ohio, exact same thing. We're talking about Rust Belt cities coming through the Midwest. So the economy is going down, and it's sort of a misrepresentation to say that we did anything, okay, politically. That's a misrepresentation, because if you put it within its proper position, it's less white folk who are trying to control City Hall and the resources of the city. The city is on its way down. By 1970, if you are in urban America, in a major city, it's because you can't get out. Very few people are going to be there willingly. Only people like us who would look at opportunity when we see the quote unquote hood. Okay, so the election of Jackson, the election of Stokes, of Hatcher, it's got to be put within that lens that these are men who are inheriting cities whose total economy rests upon some element of steel or the Rust Belt, and that's being phased out. So in many ways, it's almost unfair. It's like, you'll like this one. You'll like this one. It's like taking a phenomenal football team like the Dallas Cowboys and put Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Okay. You know, we was doing good until we got the scrub over here from Philly to come in and stand behind center. But you see these cities going down, but just from external factors. These cities are going down. They're declining. They're Midwestern cities. You know, one of the saddest cities that you could ever go to in America is Youngstown, Ohio. Used to be a steel city. Now there's nothing there. And if you leave from Youngstown and you're gonna hit Akron, exact same thing. You're gonna hit Canton, exact same thing. You're gonna hit Mansfield, Ohio, exact same thing. These are Rust Belt cities. We made our money with steel, and steel is no longer the viable product that it used to be for a lot of reasons. Technology being one of them, being a major one.
You know, and that's something that they point out that is very big. The economic decline with white flight was their greatest struggle, was fighting the rapid white flight to the suburbs, which instantaneously depleted city tax base, starving their administrations of funds needed for revitalization. And then federal opposition. They governed during the Nixon administration, which often used federal funds cuts and law and order rhetoric to punish and undermine the newly elected black mayors.
Yes.
So they had internal struggles of the white flight, and then federal government cutting their money.
And don't forget to add in the fact that during the 1960s, and we see it get progressively worse. This is one of the problems that I have with my students is their lack of historical understanding. They say, well, I said, well, what, white folk were dealing with that white girl. They was dealing with, with that booger sugar, that cocaine. What were black people doing? And every semester, my students, they love to yell this. This is like their favorite word when you ask what's wrong with black people. Crack. Y'all was on crack. And I'm like, no, we weren't on crack. Okay. By the mid to late 60s, heroin. It's heroin that has taken over. We're dealing with, and to use the vernacular of my best friend, we're dealing with dope fiends. Okay. And all of these things are occurring. What can the mayor do about that?
Mm-hmm.
The mayor can't keep steel companies from shifting resources here and there, from bringing in technology. The steel mill that my father worked at, it is producing, its rival produced 50 times the amount of steel that they could. Okay.
Mm.
And do you know how many people, well, my father's company where he worked at, they had approximately 200 men working every shift. And they got 3 shifts going. These technologically advanced, and this is back in the 2000s. These companies, they're turning out 50 times the product with only 10 workers.
Mm.
So you're getting more product and you have less overhead. Because I can pay you what? Average steel worker making probably 75, 80 grand.
Mm-hmm.
If I paid you $1 million as one of the 10 that are working there, I'm still coming out way ahead because I have such low overhead now, and I'm making and selling so much product. So those are all things that have to be factored in there. When you're talking about being the first, that they let them brothers get in there at a moment when the city was on its downturn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And they point out 2 main things, or really 3, but 2 I want to deal with. One you've already dealt with, really, with the economic elites, the whites removing money, whites that were in government and refused to help the current administration, withholding their help, acting like they don't know what's what, and talking to their white counterparts in business and telling them, man, you better get out here.
It's no different from what you're seeing today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
The thing becomes there comes a moment in every interaction where the party that is holding the money is looking you in the face and saying, make me do it.
Mm.
I know the money is due to you, but make me do it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an insinuation behind that of, but can you kick my ass?
Right.
You can't, and if you can't kick their ass, then you better shut the fuck up and take what it is that they're gonna give you. They developed a way where they're not going to do it. Nixon wins in '68 on a law and order platform. Who do you think he's talking to? He's talking to these white folk who are leaving these central cities and saying, listen, I'm going to protect y'all. As crooked as he was.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Nobody is above the law. Nobody is below the law. And let's enforce the law. And we can't forget that we get the assassination of Fred Hampton then. We get the Attica prison uprising then. We get Jonathan Jackson killed then. We get George Jackson killed then. So this is a nation that is tired. And after a certain point, they're basically saying, look, protect us. We will turn a blind eye to all of our constitutional rights if you just promise to protect us. And that's the deal they made, and that's what they got.
So when we think about the mayor as the chief executive officer of a city,
Yeah.
many of those mayors had problems with their police departments. Many black mayors like Cleveland's Stokes and Detroit Coleman Young campaigned on police reform.
We can't forget Coleman Young, can we?
Exactly. And once in office, they had to fight deeply entrenched racist police forces that viewed the black-led government as the enemy.
Yeah.
This led to internal wars, battles over civilian review boards, hiring practices, accountability for brutality, which consumed political capital and led to internal strife.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, you shouldn't wish being the black mayor of any major city upon anybody you even kind of mildly dislike, because they are, when you talk about this idea of treason, they're going to be looked at as a Benedict Arnold all the time by all sides, because he has to in every way take care of the police, the same police that have been whooping ass the entire time. Okay. And the police are going to have this knee-jerk reaction of now one of them is in charge. So you're going to find them being slower to calls because they don't feel as if they have the mayor's office backing them up. And in many ways, if the mayor's office does back them up, it's going to cut into his voter base. So he ain't going to be there next time. And that's not even to talk about what we're seeing now with major cities going bankrupt, the negotiation of worker rights, of pensions, of insurance policies. It's a thankless job. And he has to do all of this at the exact same time that his tax base is going down. And I mean, just think about if we focus upon one singular issue that is always important to Black folk, regardless of what major city that you're talking about, it is police brutality. You know, think back NWA, fuck the police, coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it bad because I'm brown. You have within Black America an expectation that, listen, now we got one of ours up in there. Now it's game on. No, it's not. No, it's not, because he's not the mayor of black citizens and civilians. He's the mayor of the city. And he's got to find a middle ground with the police union. And all of these Black folk who have gotten so enamored and so happy about the fact that, yeah, one of us is in there, we're getting ready to have a civilian review board. Well, yeah, I'll agree to a civilian review board, but you won't have firing power, which puts you in the mindset of, so what good is a civilian review board then? If we can't punish officers for the evil that they do. And what's the message that is sent to officers? Yeah, you're going to just have to go to a meeting and a hearing, but ain't nothing changed. So you have problem and issue upon issue upon issue upon issue being the Black mayor. And we can never forget one of the things that you insinuated in what you were saying is quite simply the racism. Do you think that they're going to become less racist and bigoted and prejudiced because a Black man is in the mayor's office? Emphatically not. That is a culture, a mindset that is ingrained in people. People join police forces because they know somebody on a police force who is in many ways saying, yeah, come on, we whoop ass all the time. Mm-hmm. How do you extract that? out of your police officers.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. And many people in from certain perspectives would say you shouldn't. You have to remember the entire West Coast law enforcement establishment is coming from Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Texas, for that specific purpose, because you have all of these migrating black folk from Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana coming westward. Who can we get to control this black threat? Law enforcement officers from these regions. So if you're the black mayor, you're inheriting social problems within your government agencies.
Mm-hmm.
Many of those people would probably look you in the face and say, what do you mean? What's the problem? All we did was beat him down. We didn't kill him.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get them to treat black folk with some semblance of respect and humanity? I would argue that you can't. You can't do it with police force, and you're not going to be able to do it in housing. You're not going to be doing it as far as economically. And the truth of the matter is that it's not all white folk. However, are the good white folk strong enough and assured enough in their economic status that they can speak out against the evil ones? I would say no. I would say they go along to get along.
Mm. One thing that I always say is that when a black mayor comes in to office, that you have to get rid of the bad apples. So you need to be on a hiring spree and on a firing spree. You don't have a choice, because if you got bad apples and you keep those back, they're just going to get worse and worse and worse.
But how do you discern that?
By what their behavior is, clearly.
Oh no, you come in, you don't know these people.
Mm-mm.
How do you discern who you're going to fire and who you're going to hire?
By looking at their record. If we start out with the ones who got police complaints and all this stuff on them.
But that's assuming that, number one, a police complaint was filed.
Mm-hmm.
And our people usually don't do that. We don't file those types of things. We go and talk to each other about it.
Right.
Okay, that motherfucker, he blah, blah, blah. The one with the red hair, the tall, skinny one. Yeah. That's as far as our complaint goes. So he's not going to be on the chopping block because a report was not officially filed for him. And then what if there's a policy that says if the complaint is considered unfounded, we discard any record of it? You could very well find yourself getting rid of some of the quote unquote good cops that the bad ones wanted to get rid of, if you're not careful. And that's sort of my thing with coming in and just willy-nilly firing people, because you really don't know who it is, who the good and the bad apples are. And if you trust whoever you trust in the police department to come and tell you about who are the good ones and the bad ones, you don't know that person is not strategically removing the people that they consider blocking their way to be the mayor or to be the police chief. You don't know that. So that's going to be, the cleaning house. I don't know, because who are you going to replace them with?
We're going to be hiring, bringing new. You have to. And I think that, just like they say, a leopard doesn't change its stripes. They're going to do what they're going to do. So, if it wasn't written down, if nobody came and made a report, they're going to keep going out there and doing their shit, and it's going to overturn. And while you got these pulling in that you're training, you're getting rid of them at the same time, locking their ass right up. And that way, the mayor has to set the tone of how this city is going to run, how our people will be treated and we can't play with it. We can't be on the walking the rope. Well, you know, we got to give the police the benefit of the doubt. We ain't got to give them liars nothing but a goddamn
Yeah.
jail cell or execution chamber, because they are criminal and they are wicked to the core. They
Okay.
all got to be.
But see, I don't disagree with anything that you just said. My concern is quite simply the process of figuring it out, because these people are very much like capitalism. It will change itself to survive. So their tactics may change, but that spirit of what they do, because there are that won't change, but because there are moments where an officer holds the power to determine if you're going to jail or if you're not. That's you know, they have there sometimes there's a moment there where they're deciding if they're going to take you in or if they're not. If they know what is coming out of the mayor's office, I believe that they are savvy enough to alter their public appearance, but not savvy enough to change their heart. And that's in many ways what I think that we're talking about. Are you going to be able to impact the heart and how they service the community through heavy-handed firing? I get the idea of coming in and cleaning house and saying this is going to be the new standard, this and that. I just don't know that, especially when you're talking about law enforcement, I don't know if law enforcement as a profession doesn't bring in certain types of individuals, and you may just be swapping them out.
And you know, that's a very good point. And it was like in St. Louis, when I used to live up there in Illinois. I had
Whoa, whoa,
went to
whoa. You East St. Louis?
No, it was in the city of St. Louis, not East St.
Oh,
Louis.
okay.
Not-
I've
but
been there.
in St. Louis, I went to this meeting, and the way they had it publicized in the newspaper, it was like a complaint against police. You got, come on to the meeting. So, I went out and I went to the meeting. And I'm sitting there listening, and next thing you know,
full of complaints.
no, it was a hiring for the police. Hiring for the police. I'm sitting there listening, and how they talking about, this need to change, yada, yada, yada. And it was like, okay, so now we're going to practice what an interview is like. And, we're going to call on a few of you just to come on up and do the practice so you'll see, what it's like. And, we can help you and tell you what you need to change this and that. So they called a few people up there, and I was one of them to be called, and went through the mock interview. And he was like, yeah, you will be a good cop. You will be a good cop. You need to come on board and be a cop. And I was like, nah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. And they were like, why? Why? I said, because soon as I see one of y'all breaking the law, I'm going to arrest y'all ass on sight. Because I know y'all have an internal hatred of Black people. And there's no way in the world that I would lend myself to such corruption and such evil. And he was struck like, what do you mean? What are you saying? And I'm like, it's in the core of who y'all are. You get in here and you get into this culture, and it's okay to lie. It's okay to lie, except when y'all get in trouble, then the interviewer can't lie to y'all, but you can lie to the other people when you're doing your stuff. Y'all liars, y'all cover shit up. No, all y'all need to be replaced, and you need to be replaced with Black first mindset people, because that way we can secure that there's not going to be any wrongful acts or killing on Black people. There ain't gonna be no wrongful acts of killing on white folks either, but we damn sure are going to even the playing field where Black people can get an honest hand when they're dealing with law enforcement. And it can't be something that's debatable. It just can't be. It has to be that way.
Man, you should have went on and joined the force.
Shit.
I can see you walking the beat right now. See you walking the beat right now. You should have took that opportunity, man. But see, the thing for me and kind of what you're saying is supporting what my fear is. You have to, because I'm not sure that law enforcement officers, city administrators, or whatever, these people who get caught up, they're so egregious in regards to their theft, to their lying, to their dishonesty, that it makes it to the outside world. They get tried and what have you in the public arena, and then in a criminal court. I'm not sure that they were liars when they got there, that they were cheaters when they got there. I think that there's some jobs and there's some cultures surrounding jobs where you have to conform to what the standard operating practices of everyone else is. And I think that being a law enforcement officer, for a lot of people, it falls into that. And some of the things that you're going to see on a daily basis are going to kind of nudge you in that direction. Here you are working for, and I know law enforcement officers make a relatively good penny. Many of them making six figures. But here you're making six figures, and you kick in a door, and y'all find $50 million in dope money from somebody who ain't never worked a day in their life. Are you strong enough to not take any of it? Especially when everybody else is filling their pockets. And I think that it begins a slippery slope of you do it once, the second time becomes much easier, and the third time, the fourth time. Before long, you're part of the gang. And it's just what it is. So you have to, it's almost the cost of doing business. Because let me ask you this question. If you're the mayor of a city and you know that you have a group of rogue officers, okay, who among other things that they do, they will go and kick somebody's ass on under orders. Be like, yo, I need you to go clean up this block right here. Do you get rid of them? Because under certain circumstances, they can be of use. If you want to clean up, a neighborhood, and you got a couple John Shafts, do you really want to get rid of them?
I would without a shadow of a doubt. And look, I believe in law and order. I believe in all of that, but I will get rid of their ass quick, because see, them type of dogs, you can't even keep in your house because they will corrupt any other dog that's in there. You got to get rid of them. There's no two ways about it. You got to get rid of them. You have to get rid of them, because the danger that they will do is just too much. It's too much. We have to be, when we're right on quote unquote law and order, because nobody wants to live. I think it was Tupac who was saying, shit, we don't want to be robbed. We don't want to be our houses broken into. We don't want our women raped. No, nobody wants these things. And so you establish law and order, and you establish it the right way. And then when you have those rogue cops that get out there and do what they do, they have to be taught a real serious, strong lesson. Not only just fired, but they have to be prosecuted to the maximum degree of the law, period, point blank, where the citizens will sit back and say, he got what he deserved. I can feel that he got where he deserved. Where the
Well,
citizens
but,
can
but
feel comfortable to say, hey, well, I'm not going to go out there and shoot you. I'm going to just call the police because they're going to do everything that need to be done.
yeah, but see, that's kind of my thing. That that they're not going to be attacking. I have this theory, and people say they hate to hear me say this, but it's the truth. I can look at a person and tell if they're a citizen or not. I can look at you. I mean, oh, okay, that's a citizen right there. Okay, they ain't gonna be attacking citizens. And I think that would be the difference between your administration and my administration. Okay, because I ain't letting them go. Hey, just don't let that shit make it back to the house. Go ahead and do what you need, what you do. Go ahead. If we got somebody that's up in here unruly, and especially if you disrespect like an old black woman, oh no, we coming to get you. Okay. And after you get that ass whooping, when you file your complaint and you sitting up there trying to identify who delivered that ass whooping, at my press conference, he's gonna be standing right to the left of me. That's gonna be the message for you. Like we'll come back over there and finish the job. If you're uncivilized, you can't have no discussion with the uncivilized. You can't have no civil discussion with them. You know the saying. I can show you better than I can tell you.
Right.
Bring that over here. And there's a expectation that there's certain things that you can do in certain communities. Okay. In my community, oh no, you ain't gonna be able to do that. You know that, nah, man, don't go over there. We got an area here in Houston, River Oaks. Go on over there. That's where the money at. Okay, you can get you a lick if you over there in River Oaks. Go on over there. Is it largely Jewish community? Go on over there. Okay, the Jews ain't tough people. Okay, you go over there and whoop their ass. Okay. However, the retribution for that is going to be so significant that it's a hell of a deterrent. Okay. I think I talked about last class. Dude was out having dinner with his family. His phone alerted him that his alarm, his security system had went off, and he's watching the dude rob his house. He got up from the dinner table, drove home, left his family there. He drove home, went in there and killed his ass, went back to dinner. Okay. Finished having his nice family time and meal. When he went back, that's when he called the police and the paramedics. Dude dead as can be on the floor. That's what I'm talking about. Come on over here with it. Bring it over here. And you would be able to say, I think that Jones is a tyrant. Spit on the street over here. See what happens. God forbid if you shoot a gun off between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. when my babies is out here playing at the park. Oh yeah, we gonna start stringing and lynching people up, leaving hanging right there in the park with the gun at his feet. Y'all figure it out. Okay, we gonna send you back to Jesus. See if he can straighten you out, because you wasn't cool with us down here on earth. And that's in many ways, for me, I watch these YouTube videos about people getting arrested, dead wrong. Okay. Then went up into the Target and then stole $900 worth of stuff. Okay. Then pulled off with the police trying, the man hanging on the damn door. Okay. You almost killed the officer. And at the end of it, well, they received 30 days of probation and a $500. Oh no. You will know when you better tell your family to come down here to the hearing, because that's the last time they're gonna see you for a while. Lock you up. That's the deterrent. Okay. You will understand when you get back home. You'll be able to tell me, "Oh no, man, don't do that. Not over there." I
So
will
that
not. I will not have a problem with employment in my city because the need of corrections officers is going to go up 10,000%.
that's just like Sister Cassie and Cassie Lane. She
Hey,
said, she said,
man,
we're not gonna go just go kill you, we're gonna kill your whole family.
I didn't say that. I didn't say I was going to kill your whole family, but they will have a seat open at Thanksgiving for at least 10 years. We will not be dealing. We're gonna change the legal code. Ain't gonna be no misdemeanors. Everything a felony. Caught speeding in the school zone, that's 2 felonies. It's just what it
Oh,
is.
have mercy.
Otherwise, you're gonna be dealing with this foolishness that you're dealing with right now. And see, the thing for me is that returning back to the political spectrum, we've allowed the Republican Party to claim the word conservative. Black folk are some of the most conservative people in the world, economically, and every other. And I'm talking about righteous black folk, black folk who cringe when they see unbecoming Negroes coming around them. Okay, yeah, I'm a conservative. I'm gonna lock your ass up forever. Period. And to reinforce where you at, once a month, I'm gonna walk through the penitentiary so you can see me. Be like, how you doing? You anything you need? Anything you need? Yeah, yeah. You, man. I mean, you going up for parole in 9 years. What more you want me to do for you? There needs to be, because people have proven, and when I say people, I'm talking about us's. They have proven. We have a segment of people in our community who don't have any honor or restraint or expectation to live civilly. So we're going to teach you how to be civil. And if you don't want to do that, we're going to sit you down for a season or 2. Okay. And when you come out, you're going to be humble as a puppy. We're going to have a job for you and all that.
Now, Doc, to be fair, how are you going to do that to more victims? Because they are a victim themselves.
Who's a victim?
The poor black people that you talking about locking up for the rest of their life, they victims themselves.
Okay, let's go with this line of thinking. Okay, you know, one of the greatest musical geniuses that we have seen in our lifetime, the man who wrote the ode, "Feeling on Your Booty." Okay, R. Kelly.
Okay.
Now, R. Kelly has said that he was sexually molested.
True, that's what he said.
Okay, so is he exempt from going to prison for what he did?
Well, and from what I know, and I don't know every nits and turns of it, but some of them parents, well, first, if the girl was grown, if she was grown, he shouldn't be in jail.
You used to all of this equivocating. Okay?
No, I'm just saying. I don't think he was.
You was asking a simple question.
He was charged right.
Your question, the question presented to you is, should R. Kelly go to prison or not? That's a yes or no, sir.
For underage, yes.
That's a yes or no, sir. Should R. Kelly go to prison or not? Is the fact that he was molested enough for him to escape any repercussions in adulthood?
No.
Better yet. Let me switch it up a little bit. Let me take you back to A Time to Kill. Okay, close your eyes and imagine it was your daughter.
But that shit would never happen. My
See,
daughters,
see,
my daughters know.
see,
My daughters know from the gate. They've been already
see,
taught and trained properly. So
look,
that would have never happened with any of my daughters.
So what about the poor little children that don't know no better?
I think it's wrong for them too. But the women that he was dealing with weren't children; they were grown adults. And when you're dealing with grown, he didn't like he locked their ass up in the closet somewhere. They made grown adult decisions, and the parents were in on some of them, egging their daughters on.
But see what you're missing in your explanation. In Jones land, okay, everybody going.
The parents going to, and the girls they going to.
They going to.
See, that's equal justice for everybody. That's equal for everybody.
Baby, I'm if I'm nothing else, I'm consistent and I'm fair. Everybody going. Okay, everybody going, and that's just what it is. That's the way that it should be. Okay, we should have a situation where one person go to jail and it's been 50 people involved in it. Think about the dumping of crack cocaine into Black America. Freeway Ricky Ross needed to go to prison. Period.
Right.
As did Oliver North. As did President Bush. Everybody going. Put some teeth behind it. Period. You want to clean up. You're never going to be able to get rid of the people, and I'll just use this as an example. People who are attracted to children. You'll never be able to get rid of that. Okay. Right. Now you might be able to convince some people and say, well, they were born like that. There's something wrong with their mind. This is okay, cool. Okay. I will give you that. However, for your sexual pleasure, to understand what we gonna do to you, that's the deterrent. You can have whatever urges you want, but you keep them urges inside of you. Because the moment that you act on those urges, then you got to come see me. And when you come see me, as the old Christian saying goes, I know I've been changed. Oh, you're going to be changed. Oh, you're going to be changed. And I'm a fair and righteous man. Come like Thanksgiving just passed.
Right.
To show you ain't no hard feelings, at least on my part. Okay. I'm gonna show up at the penitentiary. We're gonna eat together. so I can see how you doing. Everybody that I locked up for 15 years or more, that's gonna be mandatory. That'll increase your chances of having a parole hearing. You got to show up for dinner. And it's just what it is. Versus this, because there is without restraint and a moral code, we belong in the animal kingdom. I had a grad school colleague who said, Jones, I ain't gonna lie, I'd love to have me a different big booty freak in the bed every night. He said, but I don't do it because God said it's wrong. He found a moral code versus this whatever you want to do. Oh baby, we gonna help you. No, ain't gonna be no witness supporting statements in my court of law. If they say you guilty, bro, you guilty. I'm trying to help you out, okay? Because these 14 seconds that you sitting here crying and all that, that's time you could have had on your sentence. Scoop him up, get him up out of here.
Definitely. We're going to take a pause and watch a video.
It ain't R. Kelly, is it?
R. Kelly and DJT reference.
Ain't that something?
Who is next?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to change my damn name because this is the DJT that is killing me. Killing me.
We're going to watch this quick, short video of Coleman Young
Okay.
in one of the interviews that he did, and we'll come back and discuss it.
For the past 17 years,
Coleman Young, I've become a code word for black. To attack Detroit is to attack black.
Can you turn it up a little?
Office by attacking Detroit,
Yeah, I'm trying
attacking
to
Coleman
get
Young.
that done now.
You get headlines.
you're a symbol.
By running bad, exactly. You got it.
Coleman, are you proud of Detroit?
Certainly I'm proud of Detroit. I wouldn't be here if I were not.
Coleman Young has been the mayor of Detroit for the past 17 years. Is it a safe place to live, a good place to live, a good
It's
place
a
to
good
raise
place
a
to
family?
live, and I think it's as safe as any other. There's not a body on every corner, and the average citizen in this city is not confronted with the fear of his life. So don't bring me that crap about Detroit. We're no different. We have the same problems as any city in America. Black people are victims of racism. It's not accidental. The cities around the
Is that any better, Doc?
percentage of blacks have the largest percentage of poverty, have the largest percentage of crime, have the largest percentage of unemployment.
I have driven and walked past mile after mile of decayed, rotting neighborhoods that look like war zones, of burned out buildings,
I
crack
have to.
houses.
If you've been coming any length of time, those were there when I became mayor. And a whole lot of that's been restored.
There are also people that say that any white mayor who had developed the downtown area and let the neighborhoods collapse would have been kicked out of office a long time ago.
Well, that's bull. That's pure propaganda. Neighborhoods collapsed because half the goddamn population left. Detroit exercised more power than blacks anywhere in any city in the United States. And we refused in the city of Detroit to kiss their behinds.
That scares the white establishment.
Oh, I think it does. They resent it. There ain't no respectful way for a black to act in America.
Why?
I'll be damned if I'm going to let them collect guns in the city of Detroit while we're surrounded by hostile suburbs.
To the mayor?
Has played a tremendous part in terms of setting Detroit back. But at the same time, I think it's only fair that no white man in the world can do as much to us in the city of Detroit that we've done to ourselves.
Look, man, I have been hounded for 10 goddamn years with allegations, rumors, and not one concrete charge. Now, after 10 years, you get tired of that book.
But your police chief?
I wouldn't give a who it is. It's an investigation. There have been no findings.
A federal grand jury tried to bring that up, but the mayor cut us short.
You came in here to do a chop job, obviously.
No, I didn't.
And that's what you've done.
That's not true.
Oh, bull.
But don't you
Look,
think?
I'm through now. Let's.
Why do you get so angry? Why do you get so defensive?
I'm not defensive. I am angry. I'd be a goddamn fool to discuss with you on public television an allegation, which would be the same as taking a goddamn stand. And who the you think you are to come in here and cross-examine me?
No, it's not a cross-examination.
Well,
it's
you
a
sure the
question.
hell isn't.
It's a question, and a valid question.
You're out of line. And as far as I'm concerned, the interview's concluded.
All right, so I still couldn't get my sound to fix up. I got to be working on that. But that was Mayor Coleman Young from Detroit. And he was a very upfront, straight word, straight speaker, and did not hold his tongue for nobody. Nobody. I think he would even beat down Trump for sure, without a second thought. Your thoughts on Mayor Coleman Young, Doc?
He is a representation for me of what Detroit is at its best. Straightforward, brash, bold. If you think about Coleman Young and just the presentation, the way he presents himself, does it not remind you of the Bad Boys, the Pistons when they had Bill Laimbeer, Joe Dumars, Isaiah Thomas, Rick Mahorn, and those guys. They were a rumble tumble, straight up in your face. You knew that you had been in a fight if you played the Detroit Pistons. He is that type of person, and you have to tip your hat to a black man who is willing to say exactly what he thinks in real time, and to accuse the reporter of trying to do basically a hit piece on it is beautiful, and beautiful and brilliant at the exact same time. He is representing a lot of the things that they said about black mayors, like talking about the homelessness, talking about the collapse of neighborhoods. Let's be very clear on number one, the homeless were there before he got there. It ain't like they just popped up when he got there. And then the other issue about the neighborhoods collapsing, once again, what can a mayor do about that when you got half of the city leaving? What can he do? Be very fair about it. What can he do about that? And the answer is and probably always will be nothing. He's not the dictator of everything that is going to happen within that city.
Mayor Gary Hatcher of Indiana, and I want to show his picture.
Richard Hatcher.
Richard Hatcher, yes, sir. Thank you. I want to show his picture so we can see exactly who we're looking at. This brother right here. And he was faced with a lot of the same problems, police and white flight. But what he did, Richard Hatcher, he redirected city contracts. And this is something that Maynard Jackson in Georgia, he did. He didn't do it to the level of Hatcher, but he did do it. Where he used executive authority to redirect city contracts, purchasing and development funds specifically towards black business. This institutionalized black access to capital and fostered a new economic base, mitigating the loss of white-owned businesses. So what this would kind of equate to is what Trump does with executive orders, bypassing the Congress and just writing executive order to get shit done. He did similar with what he did with his executive authority to go out and get shit done, to make more black millionaires, to be able to have blacks access the city in such a ways that will make the city more viable again.
Yep. If you look at that photo, look to the right side of that photo, that's Maynard Jackson right there, the mayor of Atlanta.
Oh, wow. I never even noticed that.
Yeah, that's Maynard Jackson right there.
Yeah, right here. Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't even know that was Coleman Young until right now. But yeah, wow. So I guess them three definitely was getting together and sharing ideas on what needed to happen and how things were going to happen.
Yeah, but you have to put them within that proper time. That was the moment of black reparations, point blank. It was presented to the nation as affirmative action, but that's what paved the way for them to be able to do what it was that they were doing. You see Jackson doing it. You see Richard Hatcher doing it in major ways, where they are reshuffling and in many ways engineering the uplifting of black businesses. Now he's utilizing it under the idea that this is what is best for the city. But that, make no mistake about it, that's exactly what they're doing. They're in many ways engineering, almost, guaranteeing that black people will be able to have some piece of the pie that is occurring within these major U.S. cities.
Wow. And Maynard Jackson, he made an ordinance requiring that a certain percentage of city contracts
Yeah.
go to minority-owned firms, period, point blank.
Yeah.
And this was his direct counter strategy to capital flight. It created a reliable source of revenue for the Black middle class, showing their own migration. So these things to be able to do and sign your own executive orders in cities was something that was definitely needed, and I would call revolutionary, that they took the power to redirect city funds.
Yeah, but once again, you have to put it within that proper context of this is affirmative action going on in the nation. The national tenure at that time was to be inclusive. Compare that to today, where you have all these attacks on DEI. Any
Mhm.
mayor that even talked about doing what they did
Mhm.
would be criminally charged and probably accused of stealing federal funds and put in a federal penitentiary. It's a different moment and a different time for them.
Mhm.
So you have to situate it there, because that's not something that is doable at this moment in time. And we can't hold mayors responsible, Black mayors responsible, for not doing it now. There's no way that they'll be able to get away with it. And the fact is that there may be no quicker way for economic ruin for a city run by a Black mayor than to attempt that, because you got a fool in the White House who will flat out, he will defy court orders and not send any money to that city, and will do it under the guise of, well, I'm withholding funds until this socialist mayor out of Gary, Indiana is taken out of office. And you will see the entire government structure collapse because no one's getting paid now because one man decided not to send money.
But you have Mayor of Chicago, I think Brandon Johnson,
Mhm.
where he got on TV and he was saying, my chief of staff is Black, this person is Black, and he was naming all of these Black people in his administration.
Mhm.
And Trump did get on TV and say, well, we want to send the FBI down there to
Yep.
investigate you because you got Black people having white jobs. And so we know that you did something wrong because those are white jobs that white people should have. But now you have all Black. And I'm watching the situation to see what happens. So far, ain't nothing happened.
It doesn't
You
happen.
know,
It doesn't
and
happen.
and, and I think that a mayor of a city, especially a Black mayor, you're always under duress. You're always under attack. And so, but the plan that they used back in the day, I think would definitely work today. You can't be afraid of Trump and people of his ilk. You just can't. It's like what you say when they say make me do it. Then hell, use that same spirit, that same mantra, speak it with your chest, and say this is what I'm doing for the people.
Yeah,
Period.
but
Point.
see, it what you're saying reminds me of something that one of my mentors, Garen Tate, said, and he said it very clearly. He said, "Truth of the matter is that poor people can't talk shit. That if you need that check, if you need that money, you better shut up and take your ass to work." These mayors, if they are supported by their constituency, shit, they need to let their balls hang. They need to, do what Gavin Newsom is doing out in Cali, because you have the support of the people. And in many ways, when you look at the tactics of a Trump and people of his ilk, they're not really. He didn't think that he could do anything to the brother in Chicago. I don't believe that's what he was thinking. He can't be that crazy. His advisors can't be that inept. But what he was doing was reestablishing his base by saying, listen, look at what they're doing over there in Chicago. So we got to be even stronger on our end to accomplish our agenda, because you can see what they'll do when they get in power. And what they're going to do when they get in power is they're going to hire every black person off the street. They don't care about their qualifications at all, because in the majority of white folks, in their psyche, there is a separation. They look at the words black excellence as being an oxymoron, that you can't have black people and still have excellence. So these moments where he's doing things like that, he doesn't think he's going to be able to do anything to the mayor of Chicago, but he is utilizing this opportunity to double down upon whiteness. The problem that he has right now is not that white folk have forgot about their whiteness. It is quite simply, look here, motherfucker, this shit you done is affecting us. And they don't suffer in silence. They do something about it. Like how we were talking about the police brutality. Black folk, by and large, we don't have a political machine that is working 24/7, 365. So what we end up doing is we complain and we talk to each other, which does nothing against the system. They ain't that way. Okay. They will offend them and see what happens. Okay. In many ways, and this just popped up in my head. Remember Eddie Murphy's, I don't remember if it was Raw or Delirious. And he was talking about how afraid he was of the gay community. He said, you say something about them, they'll come and get you. Okay. And he said, you'll look up and you think it's a siren, and it'll be a gay dude sitting on top of a car saying, woo, woo, coming to get you.
Right.
They're locked and loaded. Black folk are not that way. Okay. So what he's trying to do when he attacks black mayors, when he attacks black cities, is it's a dog whistle, and it's not really a dog whistle. It's actually a bullhorn where he's trying to rally the troops. Yeah, we need to do it to them again. We need to do it again, and hoping that their focus will shift from what is financially and economically as expedient for them, for their own home, versus we got to go over here and address these niggas. It's a rallying call. You have to. We can never forget that the thing that has made the Irish, the Polish, the Russians, the Italians disappear into the sea of whiteness is their opposition and their hatred for black folk. That's the only thing that these different varieties of Europeans who have come to this nation have learned and have applied. That's their rallying call. That's their flag. That this is a white man's nation, and we got to work together to ensure that it continues to serve the interests of white people and white people alone.
Wow. That is something. It seems to me, Doc, that there is no getting around the confrontation between, if you want to call it right and wrong, you want to call it poor and non-poor, there's going to be a confrontation. And at the bottom of it, or the winner of it, is those who are not afraid to say what need to be said, but also to do what has to be done. And so the thing that I think we have to ask ourselves, are black politicians willing to do and say the things that really need to be said and done?
I'm still caught up on the idea of, let's take Minister Farrakhan. Put him at the head of any major American city. What can he do?
Shit, I think he would do a whole lot.
Yeah,
because,
what can he do?
What can he do?
Yeah, what could he
He
do?
he can make the playing field even and fair.
How?
Um, how
What playing field and how?
the playing fields of justice, the playing fields of jobs, the playing fields of your utilities, and every aspect, because the
Go ahead.
mayor and city council have more actual power than the president of the United States does when it comes to your actual life, what actually affects your pockets, what actually affects your
Okay.
home.
Let's use one of those. Let's talk about economics.
Okay.
Um, as far as jobs, how could he impact economics?
Well, jobs, he can make sure that there's a fair, actually fair base. If he needed to open up the city government more to employ more people, if he
Okay.
wants to talk with businesses and get, hey, let's just like Trump does. Hey, come here, we need to talk about this.
How
We
do you,
want this base to be open. We want this to be done. There's a lot of things that can be done.
how would a mayor impact a private business as far as their operation, their hiring practices? How does a mayor do that?
Because when it comes to tax incentives that these businesses get for operating, opening up and operating in that city, then they could say, okay, well, look, we're giving you this amount of tax breaks, so we expect this amount of jobs, especially for this amount of in our community. Everything is negotiable. Everything's on the table because they want to come and they want tax breaks and they want business.
That just happened here in Texas. Texas is in the middle of this right now,
Mhm.
with Governor Abbott. The booming town for probably the last 5 years in Texas has been Austin. Austin, when all of those startups and all those tech jobs in on the West Coast shut down, the
Mhm.
vast majority of them moved to Austin. And I mean, Austin was booming at a level that was just like incredible.
Mm.
People said it would never end. Okay, that it was, the perfect storm had come together, and within the last 3 months, Austin has went down the drain. And the thing that made them go down the drain is ironically what you're talking about. Another city, other cities, like one of the major ones, moved to Nashville. And the thing that led them to leave Austin and go to Nashville was tax incentives, tax
Mhm.
breaks. Okay. So my question is kind of aimed at, if cities know that to bring a business in, this is what you have to do, they'll do that. But
Mhm.
now, can you go the step further and tell them that they have to hire so many black folk?
Oh, most definitely. You sure can.
I
You
don't
sure
know.
can. You,
I
you
don't
can.
know.
You can. Because, it's at this, it's just like the state of New Jersey, right? When you drive to New Jersey and you stop at a gas station, you can't put gas in your car.
Yeah.
They the people work at the gas station come out there and pump your gas for you.
Hmm.
Because somebody in New Jersey, some governor said, look, we got to look out for our people. So look here, y'all can't pump your gas. You got to pay somebody good money to come out there and pump gas for people. And that's what they do. You
But
got to be, you
you
have to be
ensure,
unwilling to be, sold down the river.
but can you ensure that the person pumping the gas is going to be black, is going to be from this community? That's kind of, the what are the limits of a mayor in regards to dictating what a private business will do? And that's kind of my thing, that the mayor is not the end all in regards to a city's operations and things like that. I think I used the example of Coca-Cola. If the mayor of Atlanta comes in and receives a voice message that Coca-Cola is picking up its roots and leaving Atlanta, Atlanta's going to be devastated. But there's nothing the mayor could do to prevent that. Kind of like what the mayor of Austin, he couldn't do anything to keep that tech company from taking 2,000 jobs literally overnight and moving to Nashville. And they're not allowing these people to work remotely or anything like that. You got to physically get up and you got to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that, especially when you're talking about Black mayors, that we look at a Black mayor not as if he's the president, but almost as if he's God. And because we now got one of us in there, now that we got a man downtown, that things are going to become appreciably better for us. The truth of the matter is that it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for people who are in their inner circle, because now they're in charge of the money. But for common Black folk, just like for common white folk, I don't see that bump coming, and for most people, beyond the symbolism surrounding we got a Black this or a Black that, I don't really see their lives improving much.
It's like this, even with when they build these apartment buildings and such, they have to set aside a certain amount of these apartments in the building for low income people. They don't have this is law. You have to do that. And so if you have to do that for, apartment complex, living spaces, wherever they building houses, you have to have a segment of that for low income people. You can use that same model. You have to have a segment of that for good paying jobs for Black people. We have to go beyond the mere thought of how am I going to make this happen, to just do it, to just fight it out, to just do it, make it happen by any means necessary. What good is it to be able to say you the mayor, but can't even help your own damn people? See, to me, that's like a person who denies having the power and want to say, oh, because they ain't gonna let me. Nah, fuck that. Go ahead and make it happen.
But today, at this moment in 2025, do you believe that there is a mayor of a major city who will stand up and say that I'm here to help my people?
No, they ain't made like that.
And that's I mean, we had him with Coleman Young. Coleman Young would have said that.
Yeah, he would have said it.
Richard Hatcher would have said it. Maynard Jackson would have said it. But the time has changed now. And especially and once again, those brothers, they got cities at a moment where the white flight was at its height. Okay. White folk are now back in the central cities.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at Houston, Black people have by and large conceded major parts of the 3rd Ward, 4th Ward, and 5th Ward to white folk. White folk are there. If you go down to in the area, they call it what do they call it now? They got a name for it that I refuse to call it. The historical name of it is Freedman's Town. Okay. And it was a swamp that was utilized, nobody wanted to live there. And it's right near downtown. But Black folk, formerly enslaved Black folk, went ahead and drained the swamp. They had these beautiful historic bricks that are there. When you drive on the roads, they're like cobblestone roads there. You can't find no Black folk down there no more. You'll find maybe one or two if you're lucky, but by and large, white folk are there. And the area, if you go down there, it actually looks like San Francisco. That's what it looks like. And to show you how unfamiliar I am, that I will not call it whatever that name is. I'm getting ready to try to find out what they call it now, because they have a name for it. What do they call? Mac, what do they call that area? Midtown. They call it Midtown now. which lets you know where it's at. It's called Midtown. You walk out of the African American Library and you look up, and there are high rises right there, Midtown. Okay, so in every way, you're seeing the chessboard has changed, and areas that used to be all black, and you could stand up there and you could be whatever radical talker that you wanted to. You can't do that anymore, because the majority of your constituents are no longer black, and those who are black, they are not native residents of the 3rd Ward, the 4th Ward, and the 5th Ward. They're just not. And so that, in many ways, if you're looking for political longevity, you're going to have to alter that and deal with it and help your people as best that you can. You know, that great saying that a rising tide lifts all boats. Well, maybe some black folk will get lifted in the process of saving the city in general. But that old model that we saw, where central cities have been basically conceded to poor and working class black folk, that's no longer the case. I won't say it'll never be that way again, because it possibly could. But right now it's not. You know, these white folk are living in the central cities. And when they live into the central cities, they move in those cities, it changes. You know, my best friend used to live in Harlem and St. Nicholas Avenue Park. Every Saturday, St. Nicholas Avenue Park, the African drummers would be out there, and they would be drumming, and they would drum until the sun came up. It was almost as one of the most beautiful things, that it looked like those brothers were willing the sun to shine for another day. White folk came up in there, got on the board for the homeowners association board. Shit, let a Negro get found with a drum in St. Nicholas Avenue Park. Now they think that he was sending out signals for the next slave insurrection. You are not allowed to do that anymore. And so you see a conceding of black neighborhoods and black traditions and things like that. And what makes it worse is that a lot of the black folk who are in these areas, they still outnumber the amount of white folk who are living there. But the white folk are politically organized and politically engaged. So their presence is in many ways concentrated. It is super strength versus black folk who are just going through their life day by day. And when something like what happened in St. Nicholas Avenue Park occurs, we talk to each other about it. We don't strategize about, well, we got to get everybody registered to vote so we can get on the homeowners association board and we can change it back to what it was before. And this is Harlem. This ain't no area where black folk haven't historically ruled. This is Harlem I'm talking about.
You know, Doc, one thing that I had a conversation with Mayor Barry. Hold on one second.
Huh?
I had a conversation with Mayor Barry. And I got a picture somewhere of it, but I was going in DC talking to elected officials. And this is when he was back as a city councilman, you know, after he'd been mayor and, you know, went to jail and all that and became mayor again, and then moved down to city council. And we had a long talk in his office. And, you know, he told me that in order to win, you have to be able to do things that people think can never be done. Mm-hmm. And you have to have a strong backbone to go do it. Mm-hmm. And you cannot blink. You can't be second guessing yourself. You got to just go and do it, regardless of what the media say, because the media ain't your friends. Regardless, you got to be able to be just like that and just go do it. He said, if you look at how Minister Farrakhan was successful with the Million Man March, because, you know, of course, a big part of that was the city of DC saying yes, and we're going to do this, and me opening my administration up. But what really made me open my administration up, because I didn't have to, I wasn't paid no money. But the minister is connected to the little man and woman in the street.
Yeah.
Now, if it got out that I said, no, I'm not letting no Million Man March happen here, what do you think the little man in the street who support me
Yes.
are going to do?
Yeah.
They're not going to support me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So he said that the key that you have to remember when you to this politics thing is never lose your base.
Yeah.
Never lose your support. Your connection with the people is your real power that can get anything that you want done. Yep. But the moment the enemy is able to sever that connection with your base, you're over. Your life is over. Everything is over. And the world will continue to go on like you never was here.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so he said, you keep the fire, you keep your vision, you keep all of that. But you damn sure better make sure you keep your connection to the little man and woman in the street, because they are your real power base.
Yeah, I mean, that's the story of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Mm-hmm. You know, Black folks sent Adam Clayton Powell Jr. back to Congress so much that he was the head of the Energy Committee. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that just blew my mind was that the person who, and this sort of speaks to, once again, the political power that can flow from a Black community. The person who replaced Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was Charlie Rangel. Mm-hmm. And you think about how long Charlie Rangel was in, and to see a place like Harlem that was able to do those types of things, concede mm-hmm. even a block to outsiders, is disconcerting.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. They definitely lost their way. What was that other guy who wrote Operation Study?
Conyers?
Conyers, yeah. When he got out of office, he actually tried to pass it down to his son. Mm-hmm. You know, you can come on here, you get here, you do this, do that. But the people wasn't going for it. Mm-hmm. The people wasn't going for it. Too many of these politicians disrespect our people by trying to do any little thing that they can and forget about the people that really sent you there. And now you want to try to do something that make this a family connection instead of something that you earn.
Well, I mean, there comes a moment where you've been in a position so long that you feel as if it's your fiefdom, mm-hmm. and that you can bequeath this, like you're passing down a home or a personal business to your children. I mean, come on, we see pastors do it all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, I won't mention no names, but yeah, we have that happening in Houston like crazy, where people are, you know, such and such is the son of, you know, and you look at, you know, they have 3-4 generations mm-hmm. of pastors who have become, you know, the head of this church. And it's kind of a given. And one of the churches I was a member of it because I really appreciate the father's preaching. Okay, I mean, the brother's bad. Okay, bad. But his son, dear God, look here. When I would get to church, if he walked up on that stage, I'd leave.
Oh wow!
I can't. I can't listen to him. There's no way. There's nothing there. There's no God there. There's no connection there. There's none of those things, you know. And I literally, and I don't sit on the end, so I gotta scooch past everybody when this brother get up there. And you know, I'm like, there's one brother who would be in the same row. He'd be like, "Brother, you're out of order. You're out of order. You're You're supposed to follow the man. You're supposed to be following, the Lord. I'll be like, yeah. Get out the way, troublemaker. Get out the way. I would just walk out. I can, man, no, hell no. Because this was your daddy. I'm supposed, it's the same thing like because y'all married. I'm supposed to believe that the spirit of the Lord is on you too. No,
Right.
no,
Right.
no. And if I'm not being fed, I'm leaving.
Mhm.
No, hell no.
Exactly. Exactly.
This idea of passing it down with, and you really ain't done much, but we supposed to let your child drift
Right.
off for the next 40 years and he not do nothing.
Exactly.
He applying the same inefficient, unworkable plan that you had.
Mm-hmm.
No problem.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, we are at our conclusion for tonight. But for our closing comments, Doc, from your vision and how you see President Donald Trump in office now and the changes that he has made, I think, for my speculation, I think the next president probably would be Gavin Newsom from California. What would America be like if Gavin Newsom was president? From your vantage point, what do you see? How would he change America? Would he fix it to be like it was prior to Trump, or would it be, in the worst direction? How do you see it?
Let me say this. Love that we got together tonight. Appreciate everybody who's here, takes the time out, especially a Friday, to be here with us. But what I'll say about that is I have actually lived enough life now to be assured of one thing, and that one thing is I don't know what's coming. If I was a betting man, I would say it would be Gavin Newsom, but Kelly might also be the next guy because they keep attacking him and his stock continues to rise and rise and rise. So I don't know. But what I do know is that the next administration will more than likely be a Democratic one.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be an improvement if our leadership did not behave in ways that they should be on TMZ every night. I believe that the next leader will end up bringing some dignity back to the post. And hopefully we'll be able to remind America of what the position of the presidency actually should stand for, that there should be some respect, some dignity. But once again, I don't know what it's going to look like. I really don't. It can't be, and I shudder to say this, but it can't be worse than what we have right now. Because what we have right now is downright embarrassing. And yeah, it's downright embarrassing.
Wow. Do you think that do you think like the tariffs that he's put out there, do you think the new president will continue that if the tariffs are making this much money that he claims that they're making?
No, I believe that the tariffs will have to go. And they'll go immediately because the American people now should understand, unless you got some type of developmental issues, that all tariffs are attacks that are being put on the American people. And so if you were historically astute, you would understand that the implementation and the placing of tariffs is exactly what Herbert Hoover did during his administration. And Hoover's decision to basically, I won't use the word tariff, to tax the American people more than they were, ensured that we would have a Great Depression. And that depression expanded around the globe and turned into a global depression. So no, it's not going to continue. I guarantee you it will not continue. I really hope that whoever is the next president is able to rebuild that alliance with working class laborers because that's where the decisions will be made in regards to who's the next president. Trump would not have won if he was not able to hoodwink and bamboozled working class, blue collar white folk.
And you know, he still talks about a third term. If he tries to actually do a third term, do you think that will result in an internal civil war?
He's not going to get a third term. Let's just be clear on that. Especially right now, where his support is so low. No, there's a part of me that doesn't believe that he's going to live through this term. I believe the man is gravely ill. His mind is definitely slipping, and the energy that he has to put out to make it through a single day, it's got to be killing him, number one. And number two, the fact that, you saw him fall asleep several times now. His sleep pattern, as far as the way he regulates his life, is not one that is conducive to living a long time, because this is a man who apparently is not sleeping at night because he's watching Jimmy Fallon. He's watching these night show hosts. So he's in many ways not on a sleep regimen or routine, and that will take you out, because you're not resting, your body is not regenerating, and so that's a major issue. Major issue. If you look at me, when we hit 8:10, 8:15, every show I yawn, because that's I'm closing in on on my day ending, and I get up at 3:00 in the morning. So if I can get 7 hours of sleep, and if I go to sleep, then I wish I could sleep longer, but I can't. My dogs wake me up. Their sleep pattern is they're like babies or something, and they're 6. They sleep in a solid 16 a night. So 3:00 in the morning is nothing for them. So
Wow. All righty. This damn thing. All right, family. Well, we appreciate everybody, and don't forget, we will be back tomorrow. Same time, same channel, different subject. And like we always say, Doc, any more closing comments you may have before we go?
No, not, just enjoy being here. Just enjoy, and I really appreciate everyone that takes the time to support us and has supported us for years now. Would like to really thank, what was my man's name who subscribed tonight? David. Thank you for subscribing to us, David. It means a lot to us. I see you're up in Canada and all of that. So thank you for subscribing to us and supporting us. So that would probably be it. Oh, a question: Are we rolling tomorrow or what?
Yes.
Okay, we're rolling tomorrow. Now let me give you this disclaimer. Okay, if I'm down tomorrow, which I don't expect to be, my boys didn't let me down. I have, I'm kind of nervous because Lord interceded already in Dallas in Cowboy Stadium already, and I just hope that he can make his way up there to the game tomorrow, because if not, but we're gonna be positive. All I ask is that everybody pray that I have a good day tomorrow. If I don't have a good day tomorrow, tomorrow's show gonna be one you definitely don't want to miss.
righty. All righty. Lord have mercy. So as we always say, you kill the nigga in you, I'm going to kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black first, today, tomorrow, and forever. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom.